Your attention, please. It's time for the final countdown. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
And hello and welcome everybody to this episode of Doc Taking on the More Mission. I am Doc. The clinic is open and let's get this party started. Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Doc again. The clinic is open and we are going to root out this nasty virus called the Mopes, the Moors, whatever they want to call them, Aboriginal dummies of the land. They just don't belong here. Well, they belong here, but not under that title they think they are. So we got some interesting things. The first thing I want to do is we've all heard this whole thing that the notice to agent is notice to principal, notice to principal is notice to agent, all that crap. Well, I did a little research on that, and look what I found here. Let me go ahead and I am going to share this very interesting document that I just, I couldn't, could not show you guys this. So here it is, right here. We'll go full screen on it. There you go. And so basically somebody had asked a question, what does this mean? And the best answer came out of it right here. Right there's the question. What does the legal phrase notice to agent is notice to principal is notice to agent mean? Well, as they came down, the best answer is it means absolutely nothing. It is an official sounding piece of gibberish with no actual legal standing at all. 100% of the time, it's used by people copying template documents from other people on the web. No actual notice drafted by any actual lawyer will ever use this phrase. Not, there we go. Coincidental, it's only ever found in connection with the sovereign citizens or free men on the land cases, the Mopes. Because again, like I've been telling people, as we keep our research going, the Sovcits, the free men on the land, and the Mopes are all the same. They all go by the same playbook. They love that playbook. Now, the Mopes use a little bit more religion. They are a lot more delusional. They have that, they practice that mysticism, as we learned with Mr. Timothy Thompson Drew. That's really what messes with them here, is this false sense of entitlement, superiority. When anything they say, there's no actual claims that back up anything, and finding this right here, it's even better. That it comes in cases almost always where someone is trying to get out of paying a debt to avoid taxes or to withdraw from the court system. The incorrect idea is that by putting this phrase on the top of your document, you have unlocked the secret loophole and you are now providing all the necessary notice to all interested parties and also effectively preventing them from ever being able to bother you again, since you're already preemptively answering all their questions. Quite often it's paired with some sort of ridiculous ultimatum. If the recipient continues to pester you, any further correspondence will be treated as acceptance of these terms and charged £5 million, dollars, or similar. We hear this all the time from Moops. If you don't, we're gonna lien you. We're gonna do this. We're gonna take all your money and generational poverty for all your ancestors or for all your, your heirs. We're gonna take your intellectual property and this and that. Well, right here, it's nothing but BS. Needless to say, it never works. It has no effect whatsoever and utterly meaningless. And so they're, and then some guy then tries to go on. It looks like he probably went in and edited it. And, the above answer is very biased. It's not slander. If not slander, which would have one question whether the person who supplied the answer is in fact employed by the failing creed of greed. The gibberish his or her speaks is a reference that is at its heart the Federal Reserve Act, which none of that is true. So again, This is nothing but gibberish. This right here, it does nothing to anybody. And again, I've watched so many different court cases on TV, and on YouTube. Not once have I ever heard an attorney or a judge ever say this. So again, it does nothing. Now, one other thing that I wanted to show you guys, which, I was watching a video that Truth 151 put up, and it, they're talking about this whole quit claim deed. Okay. I don't think these moops even know what they're talking about when it comes to the quit claim deed. So basically what I found was, as I was going through this, they had broke it down, but here's basically what it is. This is how you file a quit claim deed. You got to negotiate with the owner. Like any ownership interest, there must be a price that is agreed upon by the parties. So it doesn't just, you go file it and you get it for free, like these moops want you to believe. So again, they have no idea what they're filing. They hear quit claim deed and they think that means, well, I file this and it's mine. That's not how it works. You gather the required information. Oh, I didn't know that was on there. Oh, yeah. Let me make that disappear. And you know what? I was probably watching. I don't know if you guys can see it. Well, it's gone now, so I'm not worried about it. Let me get back into my stream. There we go. Sorry about that. Well, anyways, so then you got to gather the information prepared by individual that writes the form. Okay, so it's not you filling out, and I'm dying to see. I'm gonna have to pull a Moorish quit claim deed and take a look at it and compare it to the actual form. And then authorizing the form. The form will need to be executed in accordance with the state signing requirements. And then you file and recording the deed. So it's not like they say it is, where you just jump in, file this, and now it's yours. That's not how it works. You still got to pay for it. So that was the other little thing that I found today that I thought, well, hey, why not? Let's go ahead and pop that up there. So we'll go ahead and get all there. Now, why we're here today, okay, is we are talking about, I have stumbled upon her, not so much stumbled, I've heard of her, I've seen her court cases, and I've got tons of stacks of paperwork pertaining to her, but the Empress, the fake, delusional, mystical Empress Ninti, and that's about what she is a nit. And I read some of this stuff, and I'm like, wow, you are really out there in this, and I'm sure Swindle and Truth 151 and some of these guys have been doing it longer, probably have tons of stuff on her. But what I thought was very interesting here is I have this this legal notice and lawful notice, legally binding notice, and it is pretty much them saying, their Aboriginal law. This is coming from the Empress's Royal Court, Empire of the Imperial Moors. They have so many different splinter groups, and so many of these delusional leaders that come out of each one of these. These are one. And the thing that really caught my attention about her is she makes a claim that they are part of the Cherokee Nation of the Moors. Now, I've already sent an email. I'm actually writing a letter so I can send some stuff like this so that way they can see it. But the Cherokee Nation actually has their own attorney general. They have their own district attorneys, just like any other state would or any other country. So I've only asked them like 3 major questions. And the very first one is, have you ever heard of this person? Number 2, is this person registered as a Cherokee national or a member of the Cherokee Nation? Because there are requirements. You can't just say you're part of the Cherokee Nation. So, and the other one was to ask if they've ever come up against her, if there's ever been any dealings with her, and if they can provide copies of that documentation so we can show it here. I feel the more documentation we have that are just slamming these people to the ground, the more it's going to work, and that's what we got to keep doing. So in this, the first thing that gets me, and the first thing I did research is number 3 on this list here. You're going to see where she calls out Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Congressional Oversight and Liaison for the Aboriginal and Imperial Affairs. No, she's not that. Did some research. Nope, she has nothing to do with that. So again, you're wrong. The next thing saying is coming from the front desk of Ninti, or of Empress Ninti of North Carolina. she might live in North Carolina, but she ain't no empress. That's that delusional title. Again, they try to say that this is a legally binding notice. You're going to see that notice to agent is notice, that BS. So that doesn't play anything in here. They call it a couple different authorities of how they claim this stuff. The Unicritical Model Law of Electronics Commerce, Article 5, 6, and 7, because this was sent as an email. It looks like to special litigation at U.S. Department of Justice.gov. I plan on reaching out to this Rosenbaum and actually see. I'm going to do some research and actually see if this person actually exists there. And then I'm going to reach out to this commissioner of insurance for North Carolina and see what his take is. And I do have the one thing that when I saw this, because she calls out a lawyer who he was the county prosecutor, and just real great guy. I mean, I didn't expect to get the response back that I got from him. And I want to show you guys something before we move forward onto this. This is the email, and I don't care. You can see my name. You can attempt to come after me all you want. It's going to be the worst day of your life. I can guarantee you that. But right here, my email, it just says, I reach out to him and said, my name is Vern Goss. I'm doing research on a group of soft sits that call themselves Moors. One in particular caught my attention when I saw this law of Ninti. I've included a copy of this so-called notice for you to look over. And since it has your name in it, I was hoping you could shed some light on it. If there's any truth to the matter of this so-called notice, help me close the loop on this one. I look forward to hearing it. It literally, so I sent this on March 4th at 4:28. He literally responded back at 4:56. I mean, it was quick. He definitely had something to say, and I love it right here. He just comes out and says, the document you sent me has no legal effect. I will scan that document in and share it. I do have it. So it is quite interesting when you start looking at some of this crap that they try to spew and try to drag people into. But he goes, Ninti L. Bay is a sovereign citizen who believes our laws do not apply to her. She has filed several lawsuits against Mecklenburg County and its departments. All of her lawsuits have been summarily dismissed. So what I'm going to do is, since I'm talking to him, is I'm going to try to get copies of these lawsuits. I love reading through them and seeing what they're trying to do and just destroy the lawsuits. Back in 2015, she was squatting in a home that was for sale in the Piper Glen subdivision. She was removed from the home. The Charlotte Observer had some articles about it. She filed the lawsuit, Ninti L. Bay versus State of North Carolina, CMPD. And I do have this on a request. They're going to email it to me, which is really nice. She filed a complaint on 11/30/15 seeking damages for alleged wrongful eviction. Plaintiff was a squatter at a home and was arrested by CMPD for trespassing. Rule 12 Bravo 6 motion to dismiss filed by county on 1/5/16. Judge Lisa Bell granted county's motion and claims against the county are dismissed by order entered 2/9/16. Also in 2015, she filed a complaint against the Register of Deeds on December 29th. 2015, she attempted to file a document at the Office of Registered Deeds for Mecklenburg County. The document was entitled North Carolina Quit Claim Deed, GS 132-1.10, Section G, hereinafter referred to as the Quit Claim Deed. Again, they have no, like I said before, we just looked at what a quit claim deed is in the process, and they have no idea what they're filing. They're literally, and I do apologize, adjusting my camera there. They literally have no idea about these. A lot of these forms they talk about and attempt to use, because what's happened is the information has been disseminated down so many times that I literally believe people are, again, so just hell-bent on finding a way to try to make their life a little bit easier and somebody else's life a little bit harder, that they don't read the documents. They don't research the document, what it's actually used for, just like there was one gentleman who was talking about, oh yeah, if you file this W-2 something where your employer can't, you tell them not to pull taxes out of your pay. Well, okay, that's fine. They won't, but now you're responsible for all of that. They don't have to pay their share. They don't have to pay their share of Social Security. They don't have to pay their share of FICA. Now it's all on you. So if you don't pull those taxes and pay them every year or every quarter, however you want to do it, the IRS comes after you. That's one group I don't want to mess with. But anyways, the purported to transfer property located at 7221 Cannon Lane, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28277 from J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. to Foreign Debtors Pool, LLC. Now, this company doesn't exist. I don't believe it ever existed. I believe what she did was she just filed some piece of paperwork and said, here you go. The quitclaim deed was signed by the plaintiff as accommodation party for J.P. Morgan Chase N.A. without recourse using the UCC 3-419. Foreign Debtors Pool LLC was a corporation set up by her. She was the managing member of the LLC. The Register of Deeds refused to allow her to file a quitclaim deed and further instructed her to get a court order in order to file her document. She tried, but the court dismissed her case. And then he goes on to say that these two guys right here, I looked up some of their stuff. It's a bunch of news stories. It's pretty much what we're doing here. And I think it's just because the town they're in, the Greensboro, it's big, but it's not. And again, because they work for the police department, they were able to educate all the officers and educate the local government officials and stuff. But again, he put them down. I did some research. There's a bunch of news stories out. They're not bad guys, and I've reached out to them too to provide anything that they can. So this was the email. So right off the bat, he just boom, done. He didn't even waste time with it, and I thought it was great. I was like, wow, that was quick. So anyways, let's get back to the Supreme Emperor Ninti of delusions. So they come in here, and then again, she calls the Uniform Electronic Transactions Act of 1999, which states emails are legal documents, can be used as legal documents. And so she goes through that, and she says the email is legal notice, is enforceable and binding, and the receipt addressee in terms of Section 11.1 to 11.3 of the EC&T Act 25 of 2002. And then she, of course, here we go. Governing authorities, international trade law, which trade law has nothing to do with this. The treaty has nothing to do with this. This Aborigine Moors of a Mexam Proclamation, Declaration, and Charter, Master Lien and Fee Schedule. So again, none of that has any legal bearing. Again, she goes on. She goes, and this. I mean, if you couldn't be any more self-delusional, this person. I honestly believe this person is worse than Drew. I honestly believe that Timothy Drew could not hold a candle to this woman because she is that delusional. So right away, now comes Her Majesty and Absolute Empress Ninti El Bay in imperium status. Do give lawful notice, constructive notice, actual notice, true bill, landlord demand. I mean, dear God. I mean, how delusional do you have to be? And then she calls out to the Department of Justice, U.S. Attorney General, U.S. Trust, U.S. constituents, Continental Congress, which the Continental Congress doesn't exist. And then she goes, Congress, all political bodies of the U.S., departments, bureaus, agencies, offices. I mean, and then, of course, state of North Carolina, city of Charlotte, county of Mecklenburg, board of county commissioners. And then you go through this, and she starts calling out this, saying that this is lawful and actual, constructive and legal notice. And then there's the as you scroll through here, you see that notice to agent is that BS. That means nothing. The first thing that really calls me out in this, which I thought was hilarious, because introducing the royal courts that have been reestablished. There's no royal courts in this country at all. I don't even think even in England, in the United Kingdom, they call their courts royal courts. I think when I think of a royal court, I think of standing in front of the Queen of England or, some member of the royal family. That is, to me, is court. But then she goes on here and she goes, restored and resurrected by Her Majesty. Well, again, that delusion, there it is. Notice on this went out worldwide and to all U.S. constituents. Well, I'm a constituent. I never saw this letter. So when did that go out? When did this letter go out? I didn't get it. I can tell you exactly where I was in 2008, because that's pretty much what she's saying is it went out worldwide. It went out to U.S. constituents, intelligence and law enforcement, arms regarding the changes upon the land of the Moors and the Admiralty and Maritime court system in North America. Well, our courts yes, some courts can do admiralty law if it's dealing with maritime issues, like if a county cop writes because they do have boat police. Some counties do because they have a lot of large bodies of water around or rivers. If a sheriff officer deputy writes you a citation out on the waterways, yes, that's maritime law. So you still have to go to court, and that court has a jurisdiction to see those cases. So they probably have a separate day of the week or 2 days a week that handles maritime law cases and admiralty time, however they want to label it. And that's when they come in and they take care of this. So again, that's great that she called that out. But that was as March 15th, 2018. So 2018, March, I was living in Richmond Hill, Georgia. So yeah, I knew right where it's at. I never got this letter. Oh, I apologize. I didn't notice this. We got some comments. I love comments. Oh, yeah, Karen. It is. It's quite a racket. I mean, it gets even better. So she comes down and she's appointing people, like these other stupid moops that believe this. And what shocks me and amazes me, especially seeing where this is sent to, I really want to go to the North Carolina AG and be like, so did you guys do anything about this? Because now you have people impersonating, and we'll get through this. So she goes down and she just says, hey, I'm the Empress Ninti El Bey, do hereby appoint and delegate Moisai Asui Bay of Empire State. So I'm guessing that's New York. For some reason, they think the reason why New York has the name Empire State is because it's part of this larger empire. But in all regards, we all know the reason why New York is known as the Empire State is because of the Empire State Building. That's pretty common sense. And he gets territorial chancellor of the Empress Court. And then, okay, so she goes on, she starts appointing people. Let's get into that second page here. And if anybody wants a copy of this, please let me know. I will, if you're on Discord, I'll upload it into Discord. I have it as a PDF. I just scanned it in. So if you want to see a copy of this and read through it yourself, you're more than welcome to. They assign another one. And this person lives in Imperial City, North Carolina, which is actually a real city in North Carolina. This person gets to be the Empress's secretary. And then they delegate another person to be the court administrator. And this person is from Georgia. So now we got somebody from Georgia who's in charge of, who all of a sudden just became a court administrator somehow. And then it just goes on. Then she appoints Malik L of Emerald City, North Carolina, as the sheriff. And then there's another one that gets as custodian of claims land by and we the powers authority and heirship vested in me annexed, duly filed, proclaimed and declared in the year 2007 to the U.S. corporation and various world leaders, again annexed at the world's largest library of Congress, United States of America, Northgate and Maxim. Okay, we no way, shape, or form have ever been known as Northgate and Maxim. Ever. This is that made up, oh, Africa was all over here and we were here before you. Well, again, you're wrong, because no, you weren't. There's no proof of any of this. Now, here's what gets really weird. This is the second big thing that caught me into this is I started looking at one of these proclamations, and I'll show you. So what had happened was, and I'll get back to that, is this. So this is the royal decree. That I had already printed. And I was reading through this and I found another one online, which it's actually formatted in 8.5 by 14 paper. Now, here's the funny thing. Before I read this to you, and I read through this and I briefly outlined, I think I got like 4 pages of outline notes. But here's what's funny. I want to show you guys this number. Okay, and you're going to see this number pop up a lot. See that number right there? This TXU2049A63. Well, here's what's really weird about this. I'm going to show it to you again in a different format. And again, it's right here. You see this? I'm sorry. I'll scan it in for you. But there it is again. And what that says, it says issued by tribal government, Aboriginal Moore American National Tax Exempt Number. Okay, It is TXU002-049-663. Now I'm going to tell you right now, you're gonna hear this number again, and it's going to be used in so many things. This number does nothing. It was one of the questions I asked him about in the document, and that was this royal decree, because she calls him out in there, that guy that I showed you the email. They talk about a black passport representing dead entity at law, which isn't true. We don't issue black passports. We have two. In the United States, there's two. There's a red and a blue. The red, if I remember this correctly, the red is military and the blue is a standard civilian one. So if you're in the military, you could have got a red one that kind of lets people know, or lets that agent know that you're a member of the military. I think now they don't even think, I think it's only one color now, the outside jacket, because they did that due to 9/11 when that happened. That way it wasn't a way to pick out military members. They show the American National Passport travel card, which they don't have one. That's not how that looks. And it just gets even weirder. I mean, again, I'll upload this document and please take a look. I mean, she puts her address here, which I honestly believe that's the address to the post office. I do not believe that's her. At least I hope not. She's got to be deranged at that point. But again, so we've seen this number. Okay, this number has come up so many times. Well, here we go. We're going to hear it again here. So, original Moore Empire territory on July 15th and August 8th, 2016, by an act of Congress, represented under the certification number. Now, here you go. Now, you just saw that number was used for a license plate. It was used for tax exempt status. Now they're going to say it's a certification number. TXU02049-663, titled Ancient Imperial Moors Are Out of Interrogatum. No, that doesn't pull up at this at all. I've ran that number. It pulls up these weird documents because it's inside it, but nowhere does it pull this act of Congress anywhere, which detailed and included the entitlements that Ukura, Micheline, Rasmir, and then that's who Nettie Elbey is, has claimed since 2007. So it's saying that she did this and she gets all these entitlements, which she gets nothing. With several monetary claims solidified in several states, as well as the U.S. Treasury Department as of 2007, having been recognized and allied with 18 other countries, which is not true. Nobody knows who this woman is. We know her because she's delusional. So yeah, that's part of the problem here. She says the African Union endorsed her, the entire African Union, but that's a lie. And then world leaders who have acknowledged her mission, important figures in our history, such as Dr. Obuji, who has requested that we align our mission and join forces, top scientists in the world, highest and best in science and technology, creator of GAC-UT. This doctor has no idea who she is at all. Just want to call that out. And then the Empress Ninti has been recognized for her work and diligence for the resurrection of the empire of the Moors, of the Americans, and fallen humanity. No, she hasn't. Nobody knows who she is. Now, what's funny is she's been recognized. If she was recognized for this, you'd think this woman would have a Nobel Peace Prize in humanitarian, and something dealing with humanitarian, but she doesn't. And dealing with indigenous people, she doesn't. She has none of that. So again, this is very cleverly written, and I wonder if these people even write this. I wonder if they pay somebody, some brilliant English major or writer, to write this stuff, because it's knee deep in bullshit is what this is. So here, let's come down a little bit. Okay, so in that. It then goes on to say, the Empress Ninti of North Carolina would like to introduce the 6 royal courts that have been resurrected in observance of our ruling power, ancestors, and absolute power that Empress Ninti has proclaimed, declared, and assumed as in her living role to the throne and monarch in the Americas. Now, here's something that's really funny, people. I have another set of so-called Moor monarchs that we're going to discuss that completely... would these 3 individuals would probably fight, because this set of monarchs has a queen and a king, and it's just an empress. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, there are these 6 royal courts doesn't exist. It's in their minds. that 6 royal quartz emits probably on her desk computer at home if she has one, or her phone. But they don't exist anywhere. If they do, they have a PO box. There's no physical address for them. They're literally a PO box. There's probably an incorporation number for them, just so they can say, "Oh, look, it's here. It's on the record." Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. Their laws don't mean anything. Their judges don't mean anything. None of it means anything. And as of April 15, 2018, Empress Ninti El-Bey acts from imperium status. Well, we're not the Roman Empire. We're not the Moroccan Empire, even though they would like to think that. We're a constitutional republic, sort of like what Rome did. They had all their city-states, which kind of had their own laws and stuff, but they're kind of independent, but they fell under the overall Roman Empire. And so that's a lie too. The Empress issued the first royal decree in April of 2018, and the senior judge, Robert Bell of Superior Court, Mecklenburg County, stepped down shortly after receiving the royal decree in the court system and by hand-delivered mail. That's all false. Basically, what happened is he took it, he looked at it, and the case was over. He was leaving the bench anyways, and he just walked away. He didn't walk out of the courtroom. Well, I guess he did. He walked back into his chambers, but it didn't do anything for it. So again, very cleverly written to make it look like, oh, we gave this to the judge and he just walked away. No, that's not what happened. That's a lie. And so we can call that out again. I already have the witness. I can reach back out to that attorney and he can verify that this is all bullshit in a basket. So, and then she goes down and she puts some definitions in here that, imperium, the right to command, which includes the right to employ the force of the state to enforce laws. She has no power to do that. Again, very delusional. Think of thoughts of grandeur, delusions of grandeur. Remember that mysticism and delusion, doesn't really have any of the other major signs and symptoms of psychosis, but it is a lighter form. At this point, she's psychotic. I would really love to sit down with her and just be like, so tell me, who told you were Empress Ninti El-Bey, or did you just decide one day that's who you were? I mean, that's a pretty simple question. And just ask her and say, well, who gives you your power? Because I don't see any of these courts anywhere. Where are these courts located? And again, you catch them in that, you keep them away from their bullshit, but you put them down the line. I would love to have her on my show here and just say, look, I'm not here to attack what you believe in, but I do have some questions that need to be answered, so tell me, who decided to make you Empress? Was that your decision? Did somebody come to you? Did a letter come in the mail? Did a carrier pigeon drop out of the sky and give you a note? What led to you all of a sudden becoming Empress? Did the spirit of the so-called prophet of Drew walk into you and now you're the living prophet, the living emperor? I mean, how did that come about? People want to know. So then her error of provision, one who succeeds as heir by virtue of a particular provision in a deed or instrument. Okay, so so it looks like she got her power or her title through some sort of paperwork. Again, we know Mopes, soft sits, free men on the land, they love paperwork, paper terrorism at its best. And I guess it's abstract of title upon the land, annexed and recorded within Mecklenburg County, Register of Deeds, Imperial City. Get ready, because you're going to hear that special little number again. You're going to hear it again. Register of Deeds in Imperial City, North Carolina. Here's the other part that bothered me too, and I know Facts and Fiction is of Indian descent. I've heard him talk about it. I apologize. I probably didn't use the right terminology, but his ancestors are Native Americans. But what gets me, and we are verifying, we are checking this right now, but she turns around and says that Imperial City, North Carolina, Cherokee Nation of Moors territory. That bothers me because they're not Indians. None of them are. None of them are Native Americans. None of them have that heritage. There may be a very slight few of Black Americans that may share some Native American bloodline, but it's not going to be to the part or the percentage that it needs to be to claim that, oh yeah, I'm this. Well, you're not, because you're not, Instrument number 20100958813, in book number 25836, page number 440, and ending with page number 444. Mecklenburg County Register of Deeds, Imperial City, North Carolina. Instrument number 20, and these are case numbers, is what this is. 20180207760, and book number 32481, page 987, and ending with page 997. By an act of Congress as of July 15, 2016. Here you go. She keeps saying it's an act of Congress and it's a certificate, but you can't bring it up. No, but here's the number. TXU 2-049-0663. It's that same number that was brought up that was supposedly on August 8, 2006 by an act of Congress represented under the certificate number. And then down here we have July 15th of 2016, instrument number 2018034-135, book number 32548, page number 938 through 942. I believe these are case numbers. That's what I believe those are, because they're long like a case number. They're not short like a actual congressional number. And again, if you go back and you look at how Congress for their different documents, whether the House or the Senate, whether it's an EO, a bulletin, it's all subbed with that first. Like a bill that comes out of the House is usually HR, then the number. And it's usually in the number of orders for that Congress. Same thing with the Senate. So now here we go. Now we're into this one here called heir conventional, one who takes a succession by virtue of a contract. Now, we're going to go over this week. I need to get this out into the air. Let me scroll down here a little bit because we're in page 3. So you're going to see it. It's right there. Okay. They call this out every time. Again, the lack of understanding of treaty law or treaties in general. Now, I've read some treaties. I went back. I have actually read the armistice between North and South Korea. Now, because I have a background in criminal justice and I know how to research things to get a better understanding, and I know who to ask if I'm looking for information, I understand that armistice. I understand that agreement. It's not a treaty. It's not a peace treaty. It's not even a ceasefire. It's just an armistice. The countries are still at war, but at any given time they can spark up. So here we go right here. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Now, that treaty does not grant her any right to succession. There's no virtue in that contract, in that treaty. There's none. That treaty talks about shipping, commercial shipping, ports, and what'll happen if you break the law when you come into port, into this country, or into Morocco. There's one in there that says, hey, if your ship is badly damaged and you get into port, to give aid, render aid to that ship and help them any way you can to get them back up. If you're in war with another country, that the other side of your treaty comes out and helps you, or provides a safe haven. So again, they don't understand that treaty. They love to call it the Treaty of Peace and Friendship because they think it's their guiding, saving light, and it's not. It does nothing for you. It's for shipping. And yes, today that treaty is still enforced because the Kingdom of Morocco, which yes, at one time was an empire, but they lost. They lost that during World War I and World War II. They're a kingdom now. They're much smaller than they once were. And it's just like if you look at after World War I and II, what happened with Germany? They had all those little countries. England the same way. They had to give them back. It's like, no, you don't get to keep those. You got to give them back. Great comedian. He's funny as hell. He calls himself a professional transvestite, Eddie Izzard. He had a show on called Lie to Me. I believe that's what it was. And it was a great show. I mean, the man is phenomenally funny. He's awesome to listen to. And you hear some of this stuff. So just like Germany in World War I, World War II, they had to give those countries back. So during that time, yes, the Moroccan Empire was huge, just like the Ottoman Empire and the Roman Empire. They were huge, but over time, due to corruption and greed and whatnot, they fell apart and they lost territory. And that's what happened to the Empire of Morocco. They never were over here. They never had anything here in the U.S. or in the land mass. If you want to play their game, North America, or South America, or Canada, or any of that shit, they were over there. So Africa is their place. Algeria, what's now Algeria, Tanzania. I think there's like one or two other countries in there as well. So going through this here, so that treaty does nothing. And I'm going to look up this Carolina Charter because it's the first time I've ever seen it. I think this might have to be when, I don't even think that makes sense. So I'm going to have to look at that. So here we go. So now we're into this section right here with the Empress's royal courts. 6 royal courts in favor of our ancestors have been resurrected in full operation as administrative courts. They haven't. None of these exist. We do have magistrates that, sometimes they work in the jail, like on the weekends. If you get, you get arrested for something stupid, and the magistrate be like, you know what? Yeah, bail's $400. Just show up to court, or nope, you're not going anywhere, kind of thing. So we do have magistrates, but I don't know if any place has a court of magistrates and freeholders in restored. So we don't have that. Court of correction and errors, no. Court of last resort, no. Court of load managed, no. Court of appeal, yes, we do have courts of appeal. We have state. They have county ones, I believe. In some larger counties, they obviously state and federal, but they're not Her Majesty's highest court in the land. Our highest court in the land is the U.S. Supreme Court. Yes, every state has its own courts. We have the appellate court system. We have the district courts. I mean, you name it. We've got traffic court. We've got there's a couple of large cities that have cyber crimes court. The courts actually have a cybercrime division. So again, none of these exist though. We don't have any of these. And if you research them and you go to find them, where is the nearest court of magistrates and freeholders? You'll get a address that's literally a post office or a PO box. You're not going to get an actual physical building. And if you do, it's probably somebody's house, because I've got their fake, you need to show up in court documents, and it's all done by this cheap, horrible telecommunications program like Zoom or Teams. And they're demanding people. And we'll go over those too. Those are so fun to just make fun of. So anyways, there's a notice here. Again, another notice as always. By and through this resurrection of power and authority, again, the delusional Empress Ninti of North Carolina has created the Aboriginal More of a Mexam Great Seal Proclamation, Declaration, Charter, and various acts for our protection as Aboriginal Moors upon the land. Well, you're not. You're not Aboriginal. None of you are. You all took a title. You found something from somebody back in the 20s who you have no idea what you're reading. You've caught it up as it's come. People have taken it and changed it to fit what they think it means. Have no idea. And again, you think you changed your name, but you didn't change your name, because why would you give up that U.S. citizenship, especially when you're probably living off the taxpayer? Just taking a guess out there, stab in the dark. But again, she holds no power. It's all fictitious. Let's see here. Here we go. The delusional Ninti has reestablished the power to escheat land, issue royal decree, and reclaim Aboriginal status, and certify royal members, tribal members, and honorary members of the Cherokee Nation and Moors. Okay, first off, these people have no connection to the Cherokee Indians. I am going to dollars to donuts. They don't. This is something that, again, because they think they're Aboriginal, they think they're indigenous, like Native Americans. Some of them have even called themselves Indians. There's one kook out there, I think there's a couple, that wears a headdress like he's some chief. And I'm waiting for a Native American to snatch him up and bounce him off the wall. That would be funny to watch. I would commentate that. That would be like watching boxing tonight. And then pursuant to the Aboriginal Moors of a Mexam Charter and Seal, who are established as having tribal immunity. Well, first off, not even Native Americans have tribal immunity. They have tribal law, in their areas where they live, and then they also have to follow U.S. law, state and federal laws. Yes, they're a member nation within inside a state, and they still have to follow federal and state laws, just like they have to follow their nation law. Okay, so nobody has any immunity. Again, very well put together, a lot of gibberish. I think Penny said it best. I just love it when you just jibber jabber when you're jibber jabbering, and that's exactly what they're doing here. Crown immunity and sovereign immunity upon the lands of the Americas and worldwide. Well, that's not true. There is no people, I don't care, even the president of a country, even the president of the United States is held to the laws of a country or a state. If he's driving down the road doing 110 and a 55 and gets pulled over, guess what? He is under the same laws that any other resident of that state would be under for speeding that fast. Now, granted, President of the United States, that'd be pretty kick-ass seeing him doing 110 miles an hour down the highway in that Cadillac armored car. But again, he's probably going to get a ticket. It happens. It doesn't matter what your job is. And that's the problem. These people think this is that mysticism, that delusional thought, that those thoughts of grandeur, those delusional grandeurs. The psychosis is real. I think if I allowed a psychiatrist to read this paperwork and said, well, what if I told you I can show you a video of this person and their delusions? What would you think? I'm betting, again, dollars to donuts, that this psychiatrist or psychologist would be like, yeah, they're suffering from some delusions, major thoughts of grandeur, narcissism. I mean, it's all there. I mean, it's there with them all. The more and more I watch the disrespect, the thought is already there because they've been told, well, you're better than everybody else on the planet. And I'm going to tell you right now, just because, as one guy put it, their skin's melanated does not mean they're a Moor. That means nothing. That doesn't mean you're a Muslim. That doesn't mean you're a Christian. That doesn't mean anything. It's just they have darker skin than I do, or you do, or somebody else. It doesn't mean they're a Moor. I guarantee if I walked across next door to my neighbor and said, hey, are you a Moor? He would look at me and go, what the hell are you talking about? Exactly my point. Anyways, so let's get on this. This is getting crazy here. So in establishing the royal courts and its administration, I have issued the law of Ninti, detailing the execution of the law of the land and law enforcement, and the abstract of title, including the antiquities map, and I have resurrected and claimed landmass to all U.S. constituents, Congress, and states. Well, no, you don't. The law of Ninti and the Aborigine Moor of a Maxim Charter is the law and shall be executed as such upon the land. These laws shall be duly enforced by Empress's law enforcement, the Sheriff, Mufai, Empress Army, and Empress Council. Well, first, the Empress doesn't have an army, so that's going to be kind of hard to use your army. And the Empress's Council. Well, I'm pretty sure that person is probably just as delusional as you are, or he's just on for the ride because he thinks it's hilarious. It's like these people smoke dope and it just stuck for or did LSD. Did LSD, especially this person, because it would make sense. Did LSD in the 60s, and the trip never stopped. I'm betting that's what this is right here. So anyways, they said referred to, and then they put a website, Aborigine of Amexem.com. Law of Ninti abstract by Aboriginal title, Imperial title claim, Empress territories, Empress royal decree duly filed at Imperial City. Okay, so it was filed in Imperial City, and that's in North Carolina. Register of Deeds, Mecklenburg County, by royal decree in imperial status of the Empress Ninti of North Carolina, it is decreed that all departments and agencies upon the land of the Moors, North, South, and Central Americas shall develop, operate, and execute exclusive offices specifically for conducting and facilitating fiduciary affairs. Designate the liaison offices to receive documents, demands, and royal decrees from the Empress. 6 royal courts that have been reinstated, resurrected, and restored. Additionally, all municipal buildings are wholly owned by Empress dumbass El Bay. No, you don't own any of those buildings. You don't own any of it. Good try, though. impressed at how she was able to. Okay. So the year 2008, there shall be rent owed in lawful gold and silver, as stated in the instrument. Secondly, pursuant to the Aborigine of a Mexam Trust proclamation and charter, there shall be a sovereign soil tax due and payable to heirs of the land immediately from all residents and occupants, governments, quasi-governments, states, counties, cities, municipalities. Okay, that's not going to happen. Their successors and assigns sovereign soil tax paid to the Aborigine Mexam Trust, Extrust, Empress Nettie L. Bay of North Carolina, conventional and provisional heir. Lastly, as of October 3, 2007, all municipal venues have ceased operations by act of Congress. Now, this is the one that I thought was pretty funny, and I know it's not true, but I want to see what this bill is. Okay. Now, I'm going to take you guys down to that so you can see. And it jumped around, too. I mean, right here, as of the year. Okay. So what they're talking about is this right here. They're saying this bill, HGR, which we know that the House of Representatives is HR. It's not HGR. It doesn't matter what committee it came out of. They don't get a third letter in there. It's just like the Senate. The Senate is SE or SN, and then the bill number, and then the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out there and I'm actually going to research this because I'm quite interested to see what this thing is, if it's anything. And that's the other thing, is they don't expect people when they read something like this, because it looks so threatening to a point. It looks so real that these documents, these things they're calling out, they're expecting people not to research it. Well, in the words of Mr. Killoran, research it yourself. That's what I would tell you. And then she goes on here to say Pope Francis extinguished all corporations under Vatican rule, which that is not true. Modus Proprietaire 2012 and 2013, 2014, he did nothing of the sort. Could you imagine what would happen if the Pope had that kind of power? Now, granted, that's what the Catholic Church wanted at one point, was worldwide domination. You know, they wanted complete control of everything. So that never happened. And then this one really gets me too, because I followed President Trump quite closely. And then it says President Donald Trump just followed suit by extinguishing 5013 organizations in the year of 2006. Well, they roll that on because now they're going to go to Queen Elizabeth. Now, Donald Trump did not end 501c3 corporations. Those are nonprofit corporations. They're still going today. You can start your own 501c3 if you want to. They never got stopped. So again, because people don't see it on TV, they think it's some secret thing happening in the background. But the problem is, you really got to research this stuff, because then you'll realize, wow, this person is full of shit and dumber than a box of rocks. So we go on here and they say, okay, in the year 2006, Queen Elizabeth of Windsor was ordered by the World Court, The Hague, to give all Aboriginal inhabitants under her authority their sovereign rights back in the year of 2007. Not true. Not true at all. The Hague didn't do any such thing. And if anybody knows anything about that warbird, Queen Elizabeth, that shit would have been all over TV. All over TV. That's something you remember. Okay? That's not something that you just blink by and go away. So that's full of shit too. Again, nobody researches this stuff. And you got to go further down the rabbit hole when you go to search this stuff, because what they'll do is they'll just keep searching it, so it keeps it at the top. And you got to dig down. A perfect example, and I'll keep moving on with this so we can go a little further into it. Anna von Reitz, the state national leader, she literally is the ringleader to that cult. That's your soft sit side of things. She made the comment one day that in 2007, the Vatican pressed a series of coins. And on one of the coins was this airliner, and it had the exhaust trails. So right away, she told people in this meeting, and I was like, wait, no, you got to be stupid as shit. And she is. She's got a cult that follows her like nobody's business. And she's making some pretty good money. I would love to see what her tax returns are and where her flow of money comes from. But anyways, in all of that, she said those were chemtrails. And that the Vatican signed an agreement. They're all about chemtrails. And I was like, wait a minute. Hold up. Let's take a look. And so I did some research, and I had to dig because the first 3 pages were all this state, national, soft sit bullshit. I finally got to the year the Vatican pressed the coins and was explaining the design of the coins from the Vatican. The whole point of that was because the Pope at that time was doing a worldwide tour to promote peace. And that's why the plane was on there. It had nothing to do with chemtrails. But that crazy delusional chickie, she told all her cult followers, yep, that's what that is. That it's they believe everything about the they're all for chemtrails and this and that. And I'm like, man, how has somebody not snatched you up from the government and black bagged you? I'm really, it's weird. It really is. She made the comment. She goes, well, my husband and I had to do this first, so we did it for you. You don't have to do it. Well, what'd you do? You didn't do anything. And there's another video that Vaughn put out there. These 2 state nationals actually trying this stuff, and it didn't work. They had their little ID cards, like the state travel ID cards, and they gave it to the border officer, and he went to scan it, and nothing came up. And they're like, oh, really? And the guy, what was really amazing, I think the guy was really trying to figure this out, why it wasn't working, because to file your paperwork, okay, they got one hell of a filing fee. I mean, you're looking at $200 just for one, and you're filing a bunch of paperwork that don't mean anything. And then those cards are like $50 a piece. Okay. So he goes, yeah, I'll have to get a hold of them this week and find out why they didn't work. Well, then they're talking about their soon to be fake passports that has them as a foreign national. And the guy's like, oh yeah, it'll say do not detain, diplomatic immunity. I'm like, no, because they're going to scan that passport. And again, nothing is going to come up. Nothing is going to come up off that barcode. And so what they're going to do is they're going to take your ass to secondary, make you go inside and fingerprint you so they can run you across the database and find out who you are because none of your documents check out. And it's nothing more than just another way of trying to hide your identity. So, all right, here we go. And then Empress Nettie El Bey ascended the throne as an Aboriginal heir of the Americans. No, she took a treaty that she does not understand at all and thought that gave her the right to become a so-called empress. And again, folks, remember this. You can title yourself whatever you want. There's nothing actually stopping you. It's just if you use that title to gain financial gain. So such as if I turn around and said, I'm a doctor. You call me doctor when you talk to me. But I'll tell you what, if I tried to use that going into the hospital and say, well, I'm Dr. So-and-so, I could end up in jail for that. It's impersonating public officials, police officers and such. What they're doing is illegal. It's not only federal, but it's state law that they're breaking. So we got this little letter. It says, to whom it may concern, lawyers, attorneys, judges, judicial. So now she's going after the courts. So here we go. We, Aborigine Moors, are no longer under the rule of Vatican or Christian powers. Well, you wouldn't be under the Vatican unless you lived in the Vatican. And believe it or not, they're their own little country. They are. Or in Italy, or a Catholic. Christian powers, there's no Christian powers we hold anybody else to. That's your own belief system. We, the people of the land, are in control of what happens upon our land. Well, yeah, if you actually legally own the property, yeah, you're in charge of what you do there, depending on where you live. If you live in an HOA, you got to ask permission, which is stupid, but the same regards. Those are acts in defiance of this truth, and whose allegiance is not with we, the Aboriginal Moors, part and parcel of the land, freehold landlords, traitors who commit high treason shall be banished from the land. Royal decree and order of high treason shall be issued against you, you individual entity, all violators, with the possibility of being detained, arrested, and or jailed for a period of time. So they're not going to deport you? I mean, treason actually, high treason is punishable by death. If you look at the federal law, it's punishable by death. But none of that was going to happen. Again, just more of that word salad. And then she goes in here. As of April 2018, notice has been duly served to all pertinent parties that the Fraternal Order of Police are relieved of their duties, starting with the Imperial City. Well, you don't have that power in whatever fictitious decree. See, I would love to see your decrees that just tell the police, nah, you don't have to do your job anymore. Let's see. They love calling you policy enforcers. I'm sorry. I don't believe in that one bit. They're police officers. They have a much wider job than to worry about your dumbass. And until you actually get the training, deal with the day-to-day, put on a uniform, put on that badge and gun and actually walk a beat for a couple weeks, couple months and deal with what they have to deal with, you're just a dumbass is what you are. Let's see here. Police officers who aim to uphold Vatican Nikon rule upon our land shall be detained, arrested, and jailed. Have fun with that. We have given public and private notice that we are not black, we are not U.S. citizens, and we have restored our lawful claim to the land. Well, okay, use whatever title you want, but public and private notices aren't going to do anything for you. They're not legal. They have no law-binding action to them. You are a U.S. citizen unless you have officially renounced your U.S. citizenship through the State Department. And why would you do that? Because you have no other place to go. Nobody else wants you, okay? You haven't restored any claims because you have no claims. You have no birthrights. There's very full. I mean, you know, the most known birthright here in the United States is birthright citizenship. You're born here. You're a citizen automatically of the United States. You're also a citizen of the state you were born in. You have your social security card and your birth certificate, which is not a straw man anything. It's not hooked to any corporation. That's bullshit too. So let's see here. Where were we? Okay. We truthful lawmakers and judges shall adjudicate the law upon our lands, and that we, the lawful heirs of the land, Sheriff Mofis and the Aboriginal Marshal, which again is nothing more than a dumbass. You're a moop. You have no power. Anything. Shall enforce the law upon our land. We, in our proper status, Segmores, sects, empresses, and emperors, which none of you are. None of you hold any sort of royal bloodline. Aboriginal Moors as the rulers over our dominions, as our ancestors did, as they shall have us to do now. Your ancestors, if you're talking about the Moroccan Empire, okay, but can you trace your lineage back to the Moroccan Empire and actually a citizen of the Moroccan Empire? I'm guaranteeing you probably can't. So again, you hold no power. We have come to correct the wrongs committed against we, the Aborigine, by the Inquisition, colonists, and slave traders in North America, starting with the 1800s, lie of slavery, Trail of Tears, eugenics, Racial Integrity Act, Dall's Royal Census, $5 Indians, and the Originous Acts committed against our Aborigine dark-skinned ancestors on Turtle Island. This place has never been called Turtle Island, so that's got to go too. Let's see here. Aristocytes or okay, results from the Trail of Tears migration that caused our ancestors. First off, you have no claim to any of those Indians that were in the Trail of Tears during that. None. Again, I guarantee you that none of these people that you've called out in this document, and you yourself, nitty dumbass Bay, have any amount of Native American blood, Cherokee blood, that would say you're a part of the Cherokee Nation. None. So that's another part right there that gets me. Cause our ancestors to be uprooted from their ancestral tribal territories. Aboriginally evicted from their homes and land, Trail of Tears left by our ancestors as they cried walking. Yes, we know what the Trail of Tears are. We studied that. We know it better than you do. You have no idea what you're talking about. from southern states up to the state of Oklahoma, where those who survived the walk were forced to live after they were abruptly stripped of their lands, domiciles, dignity, divinity, and nobility. Yet we still stand. We are inhabitants of the land, demand that we, their descendants, shall retrieve all that our ancestors lost, all that was pillaged, raped. She didn't check this for spelling because it probably was raped, but it's wrapped, stolen, molested, and as cheated from their vast estate, shall be restored, revitalized, recovered, recouped, reverted back to where it belongs. So it is, so it is, and so it is. So it's not, so it's not, so it's not. I'm going to go back and say again, you are not a descendant of those Indians, of those tribes. You're not. Prove it. I love you. You want me to prove I belong here? You prove that you're a Native American and you're part of that tribe, of those tribes. Because you can't. You won't. You don't have the ability to. You'll sit here and say, well, I don't have to. Then fine. That tells me right there that you don't. This is a lie. Everything typed here is a lie. This is the law that the state of North Carolina and all political bodies and municipalities shall adhere to at once. Well, they don't. So again, you're wrong again. Without delay and indefinitely, permanently, intentionally, eternally, forever, and evermore. And they spelled that more incorrectly. Notice law of Ninti, which is not a law. There is no law stated that. Strictly represents natural law, universal law, and the laws of heirs. Violations of this law shall be met with the remedies provided for in our Aboriginal charter, which you don't have a charter. No one cares about your fictitious liens or your fee schedules because nobody pays them because they're not legal. From Her Majesty Imperium status, which she doesn't have any sort of Imperium status except the craziness in her head. She has lawfully informed all constituents of the U.S., which you know you have not. This is the first time I've ever seen this letter. The U.S., state of North Carolina, city of Charlotte, and the county of Mecklenburg, there are no more black codes. Jim Crow statute. The Jim Crow statutes were destroyed a long time ago. We have no genocidal laws to strip we, the Aboriginal Moors, of our birthright by blood. You have no birthrights. The only birthright you have is you were born here in the United States, so you got citizenship based on your birth, where you were born at. So you have no other birthrights. So again, your delusion has caused you to go down this hole. Let's see here. We, the people, indigenous inhabitants, which are not indigenous, again, of America, are part of the parcels of the land. So your packages of these lands, North, South, and Central America. I'm guaranteeing you, I would love for you to take this shit to South America. Go run this shit in Venezuela. Yeah. Let's see how long you last there, Empress. Take this shit down to Venezuela, to Chile. Go deal with those motherfuckers and let them tell you you're crazy. Because you go walk up to one of their leaders, they're going to shoot you. You ain't got a chance. So have fun with that. America, then here's this BS. Al-Morocc. America, where they put a U in there and they misspell it. And then Al-Morocc, which looks like a dinosaur name. Means our land in the West. No, it doesn't. Whose land is the West is it. Land of the Moors. No, it's not. The following sovereign soil tax is a binding contract. No, it's not. Empress Ninti, in her imperial authority, may issue binding unilateral contracts to entities and residents occupying her claimed territory. True bill is attached to this notice. So you know what I'm going to do? Her address is on one of these royal decrees. I'm going to write her this and say, so I'm curious, since 2000, because you keep saying this, since 2018 or 2007, 2016, can you tell me how much money you've brought in from this sovereign soil tax? I'm curious because by now you should have gotten, I mean, if you're talking the whole country, you're talking South America, Central America, you're talking Canada, Mexico, you should have billions, if not trillions of dollars. I mean, can you prove a ledger? Can you show what you've brought in every year? Like, I can go look at the IRS and see what the budget of the country was for that year and how much they brought in taxes and how much they actually spent. Do you have a ledger like that? Do you have, you're probably not. Sorry, I confused you because that's actually how government would run. So anyways, they have this true bill and then they have Cherokee Nation of Moors. North Carolina Territory True Bill Notice. So this is the stuff that I sent to the Cherokee Nation because it really bothered me. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Now, we're going to see it again. You already see it if you're hanging in there. My one viewer is still hanging in there, and I appreciate that. I know it's 11:30. We've run a little long. I appreciate that. This stuff takes time. It does, and I'm glad you're with me. I've seen it. I seen we were up to 3 viewers at one time. Now we're back down to 1, so it's all right. I'm glad you're with me. So here we go. This is what's funny. 2, land occupants, entities occupying land in Aboriginal imperial territories. Well, first off, none of our territories were ever imperial at all. Notice, from the creditors, landlords, and custodians of the landmass within Imperial City, North Carolina Territory, Empire of the Aboriginal Moors has been resurrected. Proclamation. Ancient Imperial Moors are out of Anturagunum as of 2016. So what I need to do is I need to go to the Library of Congress, okay, because this was back in 2016. And I need to find this title because I'm curious. I want to see if this is actually there. I want to find out how the hell they got it in the Library of Congress. Now, here we go. The Library of Congress certificate registration ID. Are we ready? Are we ready, people? Because here it comes again. TXU 2049663. How are you using a fake tax exempt number? And now it's a document number in the Library of Congress. Okay. Sovereign soil tax shall be assessed per unit. 1 unit equals 1 parcel. 1 landlocked. All occupants of the land shall pay a sovereign soil tax to the Aboriginal Moor Trust. So we're gonna find that too. So here we go. We're gonna do some backup to this story. First, there we go. And it should be paid to the Aboriginal Moor Trust. The charge per 25-year interval for residents and 15-year interval for business entities as rent for occupancy upon the land. The land may not, cannot, shall not be owned by any. So, here we go. I must have jumped over a line here. The charge to the occupants upon our landmass shall be $500,000 in lawful tender per 25-year intervals. So let me bring out my calculator. So they're saying that over 25 years in a residential area, each person, if I read this right, all occupants of the land. So they're even saying your kids. So we'll just do my family. Okay, 7 times. Because that's 3.5 million, just 7 times $500,000. And then I got 25 years to pay that. Every year I got to pay $140,000. $140,000. And that's for my whole family. So I better have a damn good job. Damn. Ooh, they're trying to make some money. Ain't gonna work though. You ain't getting anything. So again, they said the land can't be owned by any. All right, here we go. There. Any foreign interest. The land is attached to the lawful landlords, Aboriginal Moors of the territory. Our land is not real estate. Yes, it is. It is not real property. Yes, it is. It is part and parcel of the Aboriginal inhabitants, Moors, Black. Now, here's what's funny. Here we go. Moors, comma, Black laws. Let me scroll down here so you guys are staying with me. We're right here, right there. Black's Law Book 1 and 2. So what that's telling me is they're looking at the first and second edition of Black Law's Dictionary. Again, dumb. We shall protect our territories and landmass pursuant to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Okay. There's nothing in there that talks about protecting your land at all. So we want to make sure that we're gonna do a nice little class talking about this Treaty of Peace and Friendship. And pursuant to His Majesty's laws of North Carolina, 1739. So now they're pulling something out back when England still was ruling things. Well, that didn't last too long, did it? And the recent proclamations of the Aboriginal Moors filed at the Library of Congress, year of 2016. So you know what? I got to do something. I got to reach out to them and ask them, Did a bunch of idiots that call themselves Moors file proclamations in 2016 at the Library of Congress? Because I'm dying to know. And I'm sure we all are. I want to see these proclamations because all of a sudden now you're filing proclamations in the Library of Congress. Whew. All right. Creditors demand to all Carolinians, occupants upon the lands, sovereign soil tax is in full effect. Due and payable upon demand from the Aboriginal Moors of Amexem, Cherokee Nation and Empress. Now, wait a minute. You're contradicting yourself. You say they get 25 years. You're wanting them to pay $500,000 for each person that lives on the land. So now you just changed it. I'm catching you now. That greed's coming out. Let's see here. Annexed and recorded within Mecklenburg County Register of Deeds, Imperial City, North Carolina. Cherokee Nation of Morris Territory, which it's not. Instrument number 20100958813. Again, that is a lawsuit. I am going to have that verified. I am dying to know what these numbers are because there's 3 of them, and I'm telling you, they look like case numbers because how big they are. I mean, that's 4 pages. And then there's another one here, 20180207060. And you know what? I'm gonna have to reach out. I mean, this one here is 10 pages long. And then an act of Congress as of October 1st, 2017. So here's what gets me though. You notice how they never state what act of Congress? Well, what's the number? An act is a bill. So if there's an act of Congress that was signed as of October 1st, 2017, well, what's the name of it? I'm going to go back through that. I don't think I read anything. So anyways, occupants, residents of the land mass. This is a true bill. Sovereign soil tax, $500,000. Gold or silver due payable upon receipt of this notice. Payments of lawful currency may be made via currency trade account or Bitcoin. Bitcoin. That's how criminals use that. So we can do a currency trade account or Bitcoin exchange account. Write or email for these instructions. So it's a $500,000 tax, and it says submit payment to care of Empress Ninti, 401 Hawthorne Lane, 110289, Imperial City, North Carolina, 28204. And that is the end of this. The last piece gave even more information because, I want to know. I want to know how much they collected. I'm going to go back to Mecklenburg County and the Register of Deeds, and I'm going to say to them, you know what? Can you tell me what this stuff is? Were these documents filed by this crazy ass chick? And here's what I think they are. I think one is this. Here's a royal decree right here. And this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this one's 5 pages long. And then there's this mammer jammer right here, which is the big one. And this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ugh. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is the 10-sheet document right here. I'm betting. I'll just have to go through and look and find that number. But that fake number is all over there. So, all I can say is she's delusional. They're all delusional. It is what it is. It's sad. But, I think it's time, granted, 2018, 4 years, but I think I'm going to look for something recent, something more current. I do have the lawsuit also where she was squatting in that house trying to steal it. And we'll scan that in, go over that. I have those documents. We'll go through that as well. But this is going to be an ongoing season or a video series with Nettie. And so it is what it is. She's a she's a bowl full of crazy right next with a handful of razor blades to wash it down with. So again, I thank everybody for showing up. You guys notice my videos run a little long because we're talking about documentation and just the weird stuff they're talking about. And I get wrapped into it because I love doing the research part of it. So I want to know more. And again, I thank everybody. Please make sure subscribe, share out this video, hit the notification button, especially on YouTube. So that way, you know, when my next videos, we're going to start doing these videos around 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm going to do a couple pre-recorded ones and get them out there for some other stuff. Tomorrow I am going to do Morning with Doc, and we're just going to talk about a few other things, and we're gonna really start digging into these. I think I found my couple targets. I know there's a couple individuals that were going to let me know who the major players are now in this whole Moorish thing, and then I'm going to start focusing on those because guess what? You need it. You want to threaten other people, and you all have done it. These moops, they think that's how you present superiority, and it's wrong. It's intellect. You know, we get you every time because we know how to fluster you by showing what you're talking about is false. And that's what we got to keep doing. So I appreciate everybody for showing up, tuning in. Thanks a lot, guys. And I will see you on the next one. Mind blown.